What's going on, guys? Back at it again with another video for you guys here on the channel, of course. This one, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 things that I wish I knew when I was first starting off my credit card journey. But this video is no frills. With that being said, let's just go ahead and jump on into it with our first thing. Alright guys, so the very first thing that I wish I knew was Chase's 524 rule. Now, till this day, I still don't have a Chase card, and you're probably wondering why. Well, that's basically because I never planned out any of my credit cards so that I can get Chase or prioritize Chase cards first. That is because Chase has what they call the 524 rule, or if you guys are not aware what that means, in a nutshell is basically this. Chase will automatically deny your application whether or not you have good credit or what have you, regardless of the circumstances, if you are at 5 or more credit cards in a 24-month period, or in the last 2 years, if you've had 5 or more credit cards that you have opened, your application through Chase will automatically be denied. And I wish I knew that sooner, because if I did know that sooner, I probably would have absolutely planned out my journey a lot more sophisticatedly, so that I can, in a nutshell, just basically prioritize Chase cards first, so that at least I have that relationship with Chase all these years. So rule number 1, I guess, is plan out your journey. What I started doing in my later years is going with a credit card every 5 years minimum, but 6 months is my personal rule. So take that as you were. You can go a little bit more aggressive if you guys would like, as long as you guys stay within 524, or if you guys had already planned out your journey in a nutshell. But rule number 1, plan out your journey before you end up regretting some of your decisions, like myself, that I did not ever get a Chase card. And who knows, maybe I will get one day, but it's not on my priority list right now. I know, kind of crazy, but it is what it is. Alright guys, rule number 2, or the second thing that I wish I knew when I was younger, and that is basically never carry a balance. Although right now in my current life, in the last few years, I have never in my life, never in the last couple of years have carried a balance. That wasn't always the case. In about the 12 to 15 years that I've had my credit card journey, if you will, for about the first 10 years of my life, I've carried a balance. I can't even imagine or fathom the amount of money that I spent or wasted just paying these banks back in interest. Now, it sounds all nice and stuff, saying, oh yeah, here goes 2% cash back and everything like that. But when you're getting 2% cash back, but you're paying 19% in interest, you're really in the negative in one given month that you carry a balance. So the second thing I wish I knew when I was younger, never carry a balance. I know this is probably one of the most common sense things out there today. It wasn't common sense for me, and I know for a fact it was not, or is not common sense for the vast majority of Americans out there. The fact of the matter is, credit cards really are not for everybody. You have to be very mentally disciplined and not be able to not spend outside your normal spending habits to take full advantage of a credit card. The majority of people are not mentally strong enough to do that kind of thing. So really, I have to say that credit cards really aren't for everyone, but I digress. The second thing that I wish I knew was, just simply put, never carry a balance. Like I said before, I can't fathom the amount of money that I've spent just paying these credit card companies, or these banks, if you will, in interest, because I'm willing to bet it's probably a lot of money. So never carry a balance, always pay it off in full at the end of the statement balance. And it's kind of funny though, because I always hear this common thing where you have to carry a balance so that you can get credit history, but that's not necessarily the case. There's a window of like 3 weeks or so in which, after your statement closing to the next statement closing, it overlaps with the following month. So your credit card balance will still report to the credit bureaus a certain amount. So that's something to take very close into consideration, because your credit card balances will always still report to the bureaus, regardless if you carry a balance or not. So carry a balance, never. Pay off your statement balance at the end of each month, always, and you will still get an increase of your credit history. The third thing I wish I knew when I was younger is to take full advantage of a credit card welcome offer. Believe it or not, there has been a couple of credit cards that I didn't know at the time even had a welcome offer, but in retrospect, looking back, I did know, I just didn't really care enough to take advantage of that credit card offer. When in reality, whenever you're taking advantage of these credit card offers, the amount of value that you're leaving on the table is unsurmountable. And that is because instantly upon completing the terms of the offer itself, say it's spend $1,000 to get $200 in return, you know, as an example, you're leaving a lot of money or opportunity cost right there on the table. The value that you're leaving is ridiculous. Why? Because let's say you have two cards that are 2% cash back each, one with a welcome offer, the other one without a welcome offer. The one without the welcome offer will have to spend a couple of years at minimum to be able to catch up to the amount of value, or at least to break even to the one that has the welcome offer. That's because you're leaving about, 30, 40, 50% of return on spend that you could have took full advantage of if you had just taken that welcome offer and took advantage of it, while obviously staying within your normal spending habits. You'd be surprised how much people actually spend within their normal spending habits without having to, spend in excess to complete that welcome offer. Just be patient. If you have to take the full, say 6 months to get that, couple $1,000s of spend, take that full amount of time, but do not go above your spending habits. Why? Because then you're going into debt unnecessarily for things you probably wouldn't have bought if you didn't have that welcome offer. So just stay disciplined, stay within your normal spending habits, and you'll eventually hit it as long as you prioritize that credit card's welcome offer. The fourth thing that I wish I knew when I was younger, and really still applies till today, is that credit utilization has no memory. You'll hear this at all the time, that you never want to spend over 30% of your credit utilization because it's going to affect your future credit applications, whether it is applying for a car loan, a mortgage, or even more credit cards. And although those statistics, those sayings, those philosophies are absolutely 100% correct, the fact of the matter is the only time you really need to worry about that is if you're planning to get into another credit application or opening another application in general. What do I mean by this? Well, if you don't plan on opening another credit line, whether it's a credit card, an auto loan, or a mortgage, or etc., doesn't really matter how much of the credit utilization you take. You can spend 100% of it. It doesn't matter. Now, if you do want to open up a new credit line, say you want to get a mortgage, you want to go under that 30%. I would argue you would even probably be best if you're under 10% at that point, because you want to look as credible to these creditors as possible, right? So again, credit utilization has no memory. So as long as you pay it down before or within a full statement, cycle, as long as you pay it down within that time, that report gets reported to the credit bureaus, at that point your credit will skyrocket up. But in the meantime, if you have no intention of opening up new lines of credit or anything like that, it really doesn't matter, because frankly speaking, it has no memory. The second you pay off your balances, your credit will skyrocket immediately. But however, if you don't want to get into debt or anything like that, the rule of thumb obviously is stay within or under 30% to get good credit. If you want to maximize your credit utilization, you want to be under 10%, which is normally where I'm at. I teeter around 10 to 15% of my credit utilization at any given time. However, I don't stress about it anymore. If at one given month I end up going over 30% and my credit goes down, if I have no intention to open up another credit line. So, unfortunately, it's really not that important. Alright guys, last but not least, the final thing that I wish I knew about credit cards or credit in general when I was younger is that you gotta treat credit cards as cash. If you don't have the money to be able to spend on your credit cards, you probably shouldn't be spending it anyways. So, in other words, it's very easy, very enticing to have a $5, $10, $15, $20,000 credit line on a revolving line of credit like a credit card and say, hey, I have $20,000 of credit. Let's go and see what we can spend on it. Why? Because that's the quickest way to get into debt, the fastest way to be I guess, in a tough situation, given an emergency that should arise. For example, you lose your job and now you have a $20,000 credit card that needs to get paid off and you have no secured income at the time. Therefore, you're in debt, screwed, and you don't know what to do. Personally, what I like to do is I like to have in savings the credit limit of any credit card that I'm currently using at any given time in savings, in a high yield savings. What I mean by that is simple. Say I have a $5,000 credit card. I put $5,000 of regular cash into a high yield savings account. And if a situation was to arise in which a credit, or I was to lose my income or whatever, and I had to pay off that credit card at any given time, I have deployable cash to be able to do that instantly. People call that an emergency fund. That is my emergency fund. That's how I operate. I put the amount of credit that I have into a savings, and I also have 6 months of expenses outside of my revolving lines of credit. So my mortgage, my utilities, my cell phone bill, etc., etc. 6 months of that at any given time. That's what personally I make up my emergency fund. I like doing that because it keeps me, gives me peace of mind. At any given time, I know that no matter how dire the circumstances is, I can pay off all my debt like that. And there's that. Treat your credit cards as if they were cash. If you don't have the cash to pay it off immediately, whatever it is you want to put on your credit card, you cannot afford it. Therefore, just because you have a credit limit that authorizes or allows you to do it, doesn't mean you should, does not mean you can afford it. So something to keep in mind. Those are 5 things that I wish I knew about credit cards when I was first starting off. If you enjoyed this video, guys, do me a huge favor. Drop a like on this video. Also subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it really does help this channel grow. So with that being said, catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.